Yeah, they've got the Tusk and the Pango, who individually have some means of doing exactly that, but if your Pangolier is the one that you're looking at as a damage dealer, maybe in the hands of Gunner, then he is not going to wait for the Bane to pop that ult and then go in to cancel it. So you kind of have to take that option out of the pool already. So might need to sort of double back on that, try and find some maybe more reliable and non-core options to try and knock that Bane out. If the Fiend's Grip does go down, then Pango really doesn't get to have a whole lot of fun. So they're going to prioritize that a little bit. Black and Yellow, meanwhile, prioritizing the Queen of Pain, a hero that a lot of the time we saw get picked up in response to the Bat Rider. No Bat this time around. Four Zoomers took it out way back in Phase 1, but they are still going to grab it for themselves.
Yeah, and with the Queen of Pain pickup, it is trying to dissuade this Pango mid just a little bit, saying that if you do want to stick in that lane, it is going to be just a little bit miserable. I think new Pango can definitely lane versus a lot of ranged heroes very successfully. Shield Crash's numbers, again, they just need to be tweaked a little bit. It just feels like it's too efficient of a spell typically, but Queen of Pain is one of those heroes that can definitely make the Pango sad. In addition to that, it's really hard to keep the rune out of the Queen of Pain's bottle. Just having a blink, it turns out, makes it really easy to fight for those runes. At the same time, though, if you don't hit that Orchid timing in a decent amount of time, this Pango can definitely target the Queen of Pain hard. Both of the cores right now in Black and Yellow are very easy targets for that Rolling Thunder. But first Earth Spirit, I really like Earth Spirit as a hero. I guess second Earth Spirit of the tournament, but I always love to see this hero on the field.
Yeah, the Earth Spirit for Black and Yellow, always a hero that is involved. For better or for worse, whether it's successful or not, the Earth Spirit's going to be making plays, or at least attempting to. Meanwhile, for Zoomers, Alina getting picked up here. So now there are options for four Zoomers. We were talking about maybe the Pango mid, the Queen of Pain pick might sort of turn you back from that. So Gunner could play the Pango, Gunner could play the Lina, and if you do run that Lina, now you have a hero that isn't necessarily the carry, but still plays incredibly well with that IO to sort of back her up, giving even more in the way of sort of attack speed and regen for that Lina to just kind of survive her way and just machine gun everybody down in some of these later game fights. So four Zoomers get a little bit more in the way of firepower and maintain a decent bit of flexibility here too with that fourth pick.
Yeah, and I like the call that Black and Yellow are making. It feels like four Zoomers are missing an Eternal Envy hero, and that they are. I think every single time that this Lena has been picked up on the new four Zoomer squad, it has gone into Gunner's hands. Of course, there is that little element of flexibility. I think 9 times out of 10, though, you are going to take this Lena versus Queen of Pain matchup. It's very productive for the Lena. You just have way better wave push. We even see some Queen of Pains go the 1-1-4 build just because you need to keep up with what the Lena is putting down. Makes it a little bit harder to just straight up lane versus. But at the same time, I'm still scratching my head if this is actually going to be sort of the Moo Tusk. It kind of feels like it has to be at this point, in which case you have double melee laning versus double ranged in your safe lane for Black and Yellow. So I'm a little bit hesitant to really pick up what four Zoomers are trying to put down here. In addition to that, both of the real best carries to pair with this IO have been banned out from Black and Yellow. So I kind of wonder what four Zoomers are thinking here. I'm trying to think of pocket picks in the sort of Eternal Envy camp, where whether or not that's his Anti-Mage or his Terrorblade, but you don't really pick those heroes typically with the IO. So unless something really obvious gets picked, I don't feel like I'm going to feel really stupid when they do inevitably pick something for him, because I don't think anything feels fantastic for them or something that picks all of those boxes. And Zero Axe, one of his best heroes and one of the best heroes in the game, versus IO. Every single time a relocate's going to go down, they're going to need to have eyes on Zero. Otherwise, a tragedy is bound to happen.
Yeah, the ability to lock those heroes down and act as that sort of a reactionary hero to try and punish those plays. And now we do see the Envy hero. It is going to be the Spectre, so I mean, it is a hero that plays nice with the IO, but maybe not quite to the degree that you were talking about with some of those other options, the Sven, the Luna, and the Gyrocopter. But as I said, it plays nice. The Spectre is an Envy hero to a certain extent, maybe not as frequently as some of his other options, but he knows what he's doing there. Meanwhile, it is going to be Z-Freak on the IO in the position 4 role. Husky will take the Pango, and Gunner will play the Luna, or excuse me, the Lina. So the IO presumably is going to be sort of pairing up with the Spectre later in the game, but during the laning stage itself, we are apparently going to see that sort of Tusk IO duo.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting to watch how they're going to try and spin this. I definitely think this is one of the better heroes to pair with each other because you can't pick Monkey King Tusk, I think, in the same position that they ended up picking Io Tusk, but it still feels like, is this really your A-list strategy? I'm a little bit hesitant to say so. I do like that they did pick up this Pango for Husky. We don't really get to see Husky play Pango all too much. I think I've only seen him play it once or twice in this roster, but I know it's very similar to the Clockwork in that same vein where your ultimate does something, you're going to get it regardless, and you're a melee hero that's going to try and tank up with your friends. The only problem is that across the board, I think this lane should be a little bit difficult. I think Axe is going to have a pretty decent time. It's really going to be up to Husky to hold down the fort here because Boris is going to be able to rotate pretty much everywhere, and that is not what your Lena wants to happen to her. If this Lena ends up getting ganked by this Earth Spirit a little bit too much, that's where the matchup really starts to turn into the Quap's favor. If you ever get a level advantage on this Lena, making those early rotations just feels way too seamless.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see what they can do if they can punish that Lena. That's always the thing we talk about with her in particular, slotting into that core role. You don't move. You can't run. You're not very durable. So we'll see what they can get on the board in terms of that early aggression as we do get this one underway. Final series of the day getting started here. And as we mentioned, both of these squads kind of maybe in need of a bit of a momentum shifter. For Zoomers, overall their record is 2-2, but they're 0-2 on the day. Black and Yellow, meanwhile, 0-2 in general, looking for that first victory. So we'll see. Can Black and Yellow maybe take advantage of a 4-Zoomer squad that might still have a little bit lingering from that previous series loss, or can 4-Zoomers put that defeat out of their minds and execute this lineup here right off the right off the start?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, and it still comes back to this Moo Tusk. I think in the game that they ended up picking it, it was a really good pacemaker for the rest of their lineup. They just started to run out of damage. I wonder if Moo's going to switch up his build a little bit, or if we're going to see the Treads Echo Saber come out from this Tusk again. I think with this Gunner Lena, though, whenever 4-Zoomers have this Lena, they always play for those later timings, even though Gunner does get very active around the time he has his Boots of Travel in this BKB. We always see him then slink back into the jungle, farm a little bit more than some other Lenas, and then play for that Crystallis into Satanic timing.
And I think if they are trying to sort of push the pace a little bit, they've got the means to do it. Obviously, Moo on the Tusk, but a position 5 Pangolier is still going to be able to make plays with the Rolling Thunder regardless of his sort of items or lack thereof. And you talked about maybe Gunner sort of farming a little bit faster than a lot of other players in his position. The IO is going to sort of bump that up as well. So they have the ability to sort of come at this with variable speeds, right? If they want to push the tempo, they can. If they want to focus on farming on the Lena or the Spectre, they can. If they want just aggression from every angle, they technically have that sort of means at their disposal as well. So we'll see which of those options they look to take, because at the end of the day, the options are nice, but you do kind of have to pick one for extended periods of time. As you see Husky just trying to be obnoxious, going up against Zero, and I mean, this is an Axe, right? You're really not going to be able to do a crazy amount to him unless Zero just gets massively overconfident, but by the same sort of token there, Zero is not exactly going to be able to do much to punish up the Spectre. It's really going to come down to the fight between these two supports. You see Boris already going for that creep pull. Husky just trying to make this as punishing as possible, but the pull will still come through. So the equilibrium can be sort of, well, adjusted to Zero's liking here. Husky's still trying to hit him up every once in a while, but you don't really win this fight right-click-wise, and Husky's just going to back up, and now here comes Boris rolling forward, looking for the courier snipe. Nice play in. That... Wow, did he... I mean, the nearest vision is all the way down here. Maybe he saw the courier coming in through this spot, but that timing is more than most people would be able to sort of keep track of.
God's plan, Kmart. God's plan. But that is also where Boris gets to make the rotation over towards Envy. Envy was denying really hard in his creep wave behind the tower, so he was able to get a little bit of XP going away from this offlane from Black and Yellow, but at this point, Boris is doing a really fine job of cutting the creep wave away, where Husky is just not as efficient in forcing out Zero to really do anything. It's just Axe level 1 is a little bit more robust than the Spectre, and I think that's where Zero is going to pull ahead just a little bit, and he's a very key player for their team. If Zero can get a big lead, he's going to be the one that is really going to play in ForZoomer's faces when it comes to those stacks, especially. If Zero can steal the big Eternal Envy stack in those Ancient Camps, that's going to be massive for his timings.
And Boris got his Rolling Boulder canceled, or not canceled rather, but stepped in front of, as Husky was able to get in the way of that. So Boris simply TPs himself out, but honestly, he can afford to take a step away. Zero's just going to sort of do his own business here. He's picking up some experience, trying to steal this pull. And with those spins, 2 points up in it now. Envy, you've got to be so careful. They want this kill, but if you get too close and end up giving up first blood, you're going to look quite the fool. As Husky very nearly dropped down as well. That's going to force him back. And nobody has any HP at the end of that one but Zero. As the Ring of Health delivered out to him, it's not exactly a salve, but he is going to start regenning quite nicely compared to the Spectre, who really just used the last of her tangos.
Yeah, and this lane only gets more difficult for Envy. Of course, Envy with the Envy buildup, and unfortunate miss, but yeah, top.
In the top lane, Yamsun gets taken down. Jube's on the run as well. Moo, if Z-Freak... Actually, I'm not sure that would have been enough, but if he'd have been tethered before that connection, maybe they could have gotten one more hit in, but as it stands, they take down the Clinks. That is probably the best first blood play that this offlane duo could have hoped for, and we were sort of speculating on it. This Tusk IO duo, it's been a long time since we've really seen it with any popularity whatsoever, but it is still theoretically effective. They're able to just jump in there. They've got the attack speed and the lockdown, and Yamsun on the Clinks, you're not very tanky. Most of the time, he just sort of is able to sit back, but
mid?
Moo can close the gap, as that's incorrect. There we go. Gunner gets taken down. Esk has a sliver of HP. Does the Pango try this? Husky actually has no swashbuckle, so never mind. He really can't do much of anything. He's just got to walk away, and oh, Queen of Pain wins out in that middle lane, but Esk has nothing, actually, regen-wise. No bottle charges, no stick charges, and no water runes coming out for him, so he's got to be kind of careful here. Gunner's coming back in. Oof.
Yeah, and I think that is where you saw Boris uncharacteristically going back to base. He's just giving Esk a full reset here. Really nice for his mid laner, but that's also the time very well spent by this Earth Spirit. You're able to leave Zero alone just a little bit, and while Husky is trying to follow you around the map, you already have those boots up on the Earth Spirit, so your rotations are just that little bit faster, and that's where the big difference maker is going to come out here, because as of right now, ForZoomers can't really afford those mid rotations, while Earth Spirit is just way better at it. It's never going to be Z-Freak coming to the mid lane. Maybe once he has a few more items, you might see him try to tether, save up his Lina when a dive inevitably comes, but otherwise it's very rigid in their lane setup.
And you see the Earth Spirit making his way back over. Only level 2. He's been doing quite a bit of maneuvering around the map, obviously, as we pointed out, but hits level 3 now. He'll get that second point up in the Boulder Smash, and I don't know about Envy. His HP is kind of okay, but if they can get onto Husky, there's still no point in that swashbuckle. So you've got the shield crash for the slow and the reduction, but if you're sort of caught in it, they could bring him down, but it looks like instead, Boris is going to start making his way back over towards the middle lane, drops down the ward first. Gunner, though, I think they'd have to bait him a little bit further forward to really make that play happen. So Boris isn't going to pull the trigger just yet. Also, is Esk... He's holding 2 skill points. He hasn't actually scaled up his stats, so... Okay, not entirely sure what's going on there, but now he's TPing up top. Now we'll see that ult getting skilled up. Is he going to deploy it, though? Yes, he is. Moo taking down Z-Freak. Now, probably in his best interest to try and split there. He's not really able to heal up his teammate any further, and that is going to force him all the way back to the base. So Esk, well, makes the rotation top, gets the kill. Meanwhile, mid... Boris is able to soak up a little bit of XP, so the efficiency play coming into focus for them a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm just watching in the bottom lane, Zero chasing around Eternal Envy. There isn't much he can do here, but this is a really good TP from Moo here.
Shards
it's level 2 tag
perfectly
team.
Placed. Zero. Armor comes in now with the taunt. Maybe that's enough. He needs a few more spins as Boris is going to roll in. Can he get the slow? No, but he can actually kick away the axe, but there's the snowball from Moo, getting both himself and Envy further forward. Good defense from Boris, just better offense from Moo.
Yeah, it's a fantastic play and a fantastic try from Boris there, but just not in the cards. Unfortunately, though, you are really hard displacing this Tusk. I think you're going to see Moo take the long walk to either mid or top. Gunnar actually did a nice rotation to get himself in that top lane, just trying to take as much space as he can. But the map is definitely going to feel a little bit lopsided now. It's not like this Tusk can really exist versus the Queen of Pain, and I think that's where this long walk is actually going to become a reality for Moo. And even though you did get that kill bottom on the axe, it is mildly unfortunate. And Envy?
He's getting jumped in on again. This time, no teammates to sort of help him out, so Boris and Zero go straight in. Envy's going to look for the TP home. Oh, in dunk range, Zero gets it. The Culling Blade kill. That was so close to the threshold, but if you're Zero, honestly, even if you go for that ult and you don't get it, you have to take that shot, right? You've got a TPing out Spectre. If you can get that kill, it's going to be massive for them, and he was fortunate enough to have it in range, so Envy is taken off the board, and now all of a sudden, I was going to say maybe they start rotating their way top, but they actually TP Yamsun out of there. Klink's not super interested in that fight, and can hardly blame him. He doesn't have the pact yet, so really, without that, there's just not a lot he can do to fight. Instead, he'll TP bot. He and Zero going to be able to get themselves a tower here, as the tier 1 will fall. Should be a trade-off on the other side of the map, though.
Yeah, and actually mid, gotta be pretty careful here on Esk. He is getting a pretty nice amount of chip damage on this mid tier 1 tower, but with the glyph refreshing, there isn't really too many plays to be made. And Moo trying to be a little bit sneaky here, but I think Boris will actually see him for just a flash there. I don't know if they actually know about this Tusk.
The ward definitely sees him now, though, as Moo steps forward. Gonna get the vision on Husky and Gunnar, too. So yeah, Esk, that's your cue to sort of back off a little bit. Can't really stay there with 3 heroes rotating in. So he's going to fall back, taking some camps. Meanwhile, Zero kind of doing the exact same thing. And early Vanguard picked up. Got it actually a little while back. So 9 minutes is actually a little bit earlier than that. But still, the progress for the Axe is looking okay right now. He's got the top net worth on his team. Everyone, though, still trailing behind Gunnar. And this is a little bit of what you were sort of talking about at the start. Gunnar, I mean, the Lina farms fast, but Gunnar just sort of seems to take it to that little bit of a higher level with the efficiency.
Yeah, he just always prioritizes farming those camps. He spends a lot of his mana just nuking down creeps whenever he gets the opportunity to. He doesn't really try to make some rotations that I've seen a few other Linas try in the past. He would rather be spending his mana on that Dragon Slave. He doesn't really ever want to make a big rotation to a lane that he doesn't know he's going to get something out of it. So instead, he just has incredible timings. I think it's a pretty worth trade-off.
Yeah, he plays the Lina almost like a carry from the middle lane to a certain extent. Especially, as you said, only making the rotation if you're really sort of guaranteed to get something. So efficiency is the name of the game, and sure, you give up some opportunities in the early stage. 2 kills for 4 Zoomers at the 10.5-minute mark, but if this Lina has the bots, if she gets the BKB, if you start working towards that crit stick in, what, like 15-20 minute range, then who is then going to be able to stand up against that Lina damage-wise in the middle of a fight? It gets so much more complicated for Black and Yellow to then deal with it. So sacrificing some opportunities now for a little bit more power later on, as Esk, well, going toe-to-toe with Envy there. That's not really a fight either one of those two truly want, but it is going to be Esk who backs away. I don't think he had enough mana at the time for his Sonic Wave anyway, and without that, you are absolutely not taking that fight against the Spectre.
And I'm looking at Envy now. Envy is rushing an Aghanim Scepter on Spectre. He's not doing normal Envy things here. And maybe this is a normal Envy thing. I don't know, I haven't watched his stream in a while, but it's going to work out a decent amount with the Isle Relocate. Is this the strategy that they were trying to do from the inception?
Truly such a thing as normal Envy things? Not entirely sure. The man is unpredictable. But
Relocate bottom, though?
Okay. Gunnar and Siegfried coming in. They're a little further back, though. There's really no fight here anymore, so well, Siegfried maybe trying to play cautiously, but maybe a little bit too cautiously, as they're just going to get pulled back. So first relocate, not really going to do a whole lot, but doesn't really cost them much either. Maybe you'd say a missed opportunity, but no guarantees that fight was going down one way or the other. So pulls everybody back. We'll sort of reset things. But now Gunnar, he's starting to get a little bit of that jungle potentially taken away as Husky. He was thinking about it. Moo tried to set it up with the shards, but that's the problem with the Queen of Pain. You have to time things out so perfectly, even with just the level 1 blink. He's able to get away. It's on a long cooldown, but as long as he holds it defensively, you needed to sort of stack up those stuns perfectly to be able to lock it down.
Yeah, the only bad thing right now happening for Four Zoomers is, unfortunately for Moo, you're playing a hero that really needs its soul levels, needs a little bit of time on its own, but you're attached at the hip with this Wisp, so unfortunately you're always going to get your XP split 2 ways. It's not like you're going to see that level 12 Tusk that we saw in the previous game trying to ball out of control. He is still going for the Echo Saber though, worked out in that game, it will work out pretty nicely in this game as well. Just gives them a little bit more slow when they do inevitably go for those dives on the Clinks. But Four Zoomers are really biding their time here, and I can't help but feel something is up on the Four Zoomers side. With
Zero jumps in, they get the taunt down, Boris will roll forward, and Husky very quickly getting sort of wiped out there. That is a 4-man rotation, to be fair, from Black and Yellow, but we're finally seeing maybe a little bit more in the way of aggressive action here. There was a brief sort of period where both sides were sort of playing back, farming up, but now they're ready to go. Zero with the blink, and that Vanguard will be just kind of throwing himself face first into these fights as Black and Yellow find the kill, and now they're going to get the tower as well. Tier 1 mid will fall, and, well, Southside jungle opens up quite a bit in the aftermath of that play, but in the north side jungle, Boris is going to get jumped in on. Gunnar's able to make it happen. Laguna Blade comes out, I believe, for the first time this game, and it will hit home as they find the kill. Boris taken down, but to be fair, Black and Yellow, they still got the tower. So overall, I think they're going to be happy with that trade-off. But now we start to maybe look at Yamsun a little bit more. He does have the Maelstrom up now, so damage and farming rate is going to increase. But his net worth is kind of far down there for the carry as Jubei, there's no way out of this one. He does try to go in for that Fiend's Grip play, and technically it does connect. It just doesn't really do him a whole lot of good.
No, and Moo?
Esk, is he willing to drop down the ult for this one? If he does, he might have the kill. Moo doesn't really have anything to defend himself, but Esk held his fire. You saw him sort of faking it out for a moment, but he doesn't go all the way in for it. But now there's going to be the blink into the taunt. There's the barrage from Yamsun, and that's going to be the Sonic Wave deployed. Still only gets Moo, but it pushes everyone else back, including Husky. But Husky, he's not going to be denied. He continues to push his way forward. Envy now haunts into the fight. He'll take Zero down. Now they push in onto Boris. And Esk, I don't know if you really want this. He is blinking himself away. Yamsun is sort of standing on the high ground, maybe able to provide a little bit of backup, but there will not be any further fight. Envy, very patient. He waits for quite some time, doesn't go in on the initial play. Once he realizes that things are starting to maybe swing in his team's favor a bit, that is when he makes the decisive move.
And Gunnar on the mid tower. Nice and eye from Esk.
Not gonna let him just get that one uncontested. So Esk is able to take it away, but still pretty solid execution from Four Zoomers, and much like we saw in the previous series, it comes down to plays from the Pangolier. Husky getting in there with the Rolling Thunder is really what allowed Four Zoomers to have the entirety of that second half of the engagement. Without that, it's looking a little bit sad for them, but the Rolling Thunder kind of changes their fortunes a little bit, and now Envy's trying to push up into the top lane. He's got the siege creep, so this is going to be a nice bit of chip damage unless Boris can just clean it all up, but it's a level 7 Earth Spirit. He can pull the aggro, but this cart is still going to take a couple of shots at the tier 2.
Yeah, and looking at this rotation on the mid lane, they're just always stuck as a unit of 4, and this is exactly how you need to play when you do have that Spectre. Oh, Zero!
He blinks into further reinforcements on the Four Zoomers side. To be honest, I don't know. If he just blinks maybe further to the east onto his own high ground, I think he's a little bit safer, but thought he could sort of go for the juke play. Unfortunately, he blinked, whatever, directly into Z-Freak and Husky, who kept the fight going.
Yeah, and now you do see them trying to set up on Envy, but Envy actually has the Actim Scepter. He has the Shadow Step. If he needs to, he can get on anyone showing on the map. The safest spot, of course, would be Boris in the bottom lane, but that's where Envy really needs to be careful here, but they're all TPing back. They're looking for the Lina.
We're gonna roll in. Oh, Gunnar!
Burns,
that illusion rune is Absolutely nasty. He dodges out the roll perfectly, and I mean, black and yellow, they TP'd so much in, they were really just banking. If Boris doesn't hit that roll, then there's nothing else for them to really work with, and Gunnar walks away. Walks away. BKB is still sitting at that full 9-second duration, and a lot of resources in terms of moving heroes into position. Obviously, they don't really have to use much in the way of spells, but now where do they go from here? They didn't get that initiation that they want. They are sort of casting their gaze towards that middle lane, but with Husky backing off as well, there's just not a lot for them to immediately jump on.
Well, and when you look at it like that, just purely by the numbers, that is a 500 gold swing. You forced 5 TPs of the enemy team to an area of the map they don't want to be in, and Husky just dodges that out too. Uh-oh.
Still in a little bit of trouble, perhaps, as Boris will roll in, but Moo's going to throw down that, well, Walrus Punch. Esk dropped low. Esk taken down. The Sonic Wave did come out, though, so that is a nice bit of damage being dealt, but Envy haunting his way forward. They have had to sacrifice Husky, but with Envy now in the fight, they're trying to turn this around. Gunnar throws the Laguna onto Zero. Jubei nightmared his teammate. I'm not sure if Zero really needed that. In fact, that's actually going to keep him stuck in the fight long enough for him to be finished off. Yamsun, if you're looking for the trade-off, was able to get moved further to the north, but now he's kind of in no man's land right now. They're trying to regroup around their tower as Envy and Gunnar continue to push forward. They will be able to take down one as Boris will fall. Now Zefreak comes back in looking to heal Gunnar up, and I think that's pretty much going to be the end of that one. But, well, for Zoomers, it's really just going to be about sort of Gunnar and Envy here. Moo is kind of sacrificed, but if you can throw them in there, if you can start off the fight like that, if you can create a favorable situation for Envy to then haunt into, most of the time it feels like that's going to go their way.
And it was really well played by Eternal Envy there. He committed his Aghanim Scepter step first using the Shadow Step, and then waited as long as possible to use that haunt to try and disable Zero's blink. Unfortunately, then Zero ended up blinking into an LSA, and then the fight really just became terrible for them at that point. But now there are some big items coming out for the 4Zoomers side, working on the full Satanic on the Lina, and they're just not done running at their opponents. They don't have the Blink Dagger yet on Moo, but this smoke feels so seamless for them right now. All the lanes are in a pretty decent spot already. And
this is a big target too. Ask is going to blink away initially, but still being hunted down. There's going to be the snowball. Will it connect? Queen of Pain is going to get stunned up, punched into the air with the Walrus. And S goes down, and now, if you're black and yellow, do you really want this fight? Yamsun's coming in for a little bit of damage, trying to take down Moo. They do get that kill, but it's going to cost them too much. Zero gets picked off. Gunner's able to find the double, and look at this. Husky just sort of rolling around on the backline, looking for supports. He goes fishing for Jubei. We'll be able to find him, and Gunnar cleans things up for the triple kill. That was even with Envy actually getting hit up by the Nightmare for the last sort of section of that fight, but Moo for 3. The trade-off continues to sort of favor that 4Zoomer side, and right now, if you're black and yellow, I'm not sure you can afford fights of that nature. Maybe you can continue to find pickoffs with the likes of Boris, maybe get Esk and Zero in there to help out, but a full-on sort of pitched battle like that, you just don't really seem to have the strength right now.
Yeah, and it's them making the play knowing that Esk is not going to have very high points up in that blink yet, and forcing the Roche like this, it feels a little bit crazy not having the Tusk alive to help you out with that tag team, but they can just afford to make these plays right now. They're in such a safe spot. They've got so much HP with that mech coming out from the IO as well as that BKB on Gunner. There's really no damage coming out from the black and yellow lineup right now. And again, Esk
jumping in onto him again. Same exact spot even. That's a little uncanny. 4Zoomers find the same kill in the same position onto the same hero. And yeah, Esk pinging out that they have vision there. Might have guessed that the first time, but now he should probably know definitively. At this point, though, it might be a little bit too late. With Esk down, that's a free Roche. Moves back in this time for that tag team buff up, and Roche goes down. Aegis is into Envy's hands. He has the Haunt up now as well. Is he actually going to use the Shadow Step to get in onto Boris? Boris is going to try to roll away, but now the Haunt will come through. They are not letting this man go. They want to chase after Boris. Not able to hit him up, but they do now have eyes on Jubei as well, so they switch from one support to the other. And Jubei not going to be able to get himself out of there. He will fall. Boris actually still trying to roll away, looking for a safe TP point. And I do believe he's found it now. Husky gave chase for a little while, but only so far that the Pangolier could go.
Yeah, and it felt like a little bit too much from Eternal Envy using the Haunt like that, but it's the Shadow Step. every single time he has it off cooldown, it feels like he's casting it. He's just forcing the black and yellow heroes to run away from them in fear. They have no idea who's playing behind him. They haven't been able to reclaim this spot, but
Zero.
okay.
That is a nice
Is your
initiation
focus.
onto Envy, but where's the follow-up? Esk is falling back. He realizes pretty quickly that that snowball is on him, so he'll fall back to his own reinforcements. They're trying to take down Moo early. Esk does still have the Sonic Wave, but he wants to hold it for as long as he can. Going for a sort of higher value play. Looking for the home run hit here. Will he be able to make it happen? Not before Jubei falls. As Jubei a little bit too far forward, he's going to get picked up, but there's Envy again. Shadow stepping his way forward. He doesn't have the damage to kill off Esk or the lockdown for that matter, but they've now sort of broken up the lineup a little bit. You see Zero trying to hang out under the tower, and Gunnar just absolutely mows him down with the Laguna Blade. A double kill for the Lina. That is 12-1 now for Gunnar. He is just absolutely massive, and you see now he's got the sort of preliminary items, the bots, the BKB, the Satanic. Now we're just going straight damage. You see the data list queued up for him, and once Gunnar gets that, I don't really know how many heroes can really go toe-to-toe with that Lina.
No one in the entire game, and that used to be the big reason why they would pick up this Lina, is because you try to win that ranged battle, and I think this Lina really hard wins that battle versus the Clinks. Fortunately for Yamsun, he is working towards that Scotty. Of course, Scotty is the one item in the game that does break a lot of ranged heroes, but I don't think that he's really going to be in any position to hit the opposing members on that 4-zoomer side unless Zero is finding these calls, and Zero has just been unable to. It's already going to be difficult. You're playing versus a Spectre. That Haunt's going to be so obnoxious, but even in the downtime, he's still struggling to make these plays, and he's the real reason, I think, why they're kind of on the ropes at this point.
And now the push is coming in mid. Gunnar's just going to go straight at that tier 2 tower, and Black and Yellow, I'm not really sure if they have the strength right now. They could group everybody up in the middle lane, but then you're basically left with two options. You either force the fight, or you brought everyone mid for nothing and you back away. So kind of trying to take a medium between those two extremes, with Yamsun pushing out the bottom wave, but there's going to be Envy jumping in onto him with a Shadow Step. The snowball's coming in onto the creep. I don't think Moo just had the cast range there, so that's a bit unfortunate. If he's a little bit closer, if he's able to get in and cancel that TP, then Yamsun getting picked off would have been disastrous for Black and Yellow. But he's able to get himself away. He buys some time, and the only thing is, if that were the Haunt, it would be quite a bit more valuable. But the Shadow Step, it's really on such a low cooldown. Envy doesn't care too much about having to expend it in that instance.
Yeah, and it's the big reason why he decided to go for this item. He's just constantly finding these heroes, and this is the actual Haunt looking for Zero. And I think the X might just be caught here. It's a good force from Boris.
Kick 2, okay, Boris doing everything in his power to get his teammate back to safety, but it will pay off. Force Staff and Kick gets Zero back into the fountain. He'll heal up. Blink Dagger coming up off cooldown, so at this point, if you're 4-zoomers, it was worth a try. You don't get the kill. Not really looking for the high ground push just yet, although you do have Aegis up on the Spectre, so 2 lives up there as, oh, Envy steps over towards the Yamsun, but this time he doesn't actually have the dust like he did the last time around. Meanwhile, mid, they've caught Gunnar. Oh, maybe they haven't. Zero didn't quite get him with the call. He was that little bit off. If they connect with that, well, who knows how that could go. Maybe Z-Freak could save him, maybe he couldn't, but without the call, there's no real threat to Gunnar at all.
Yeah, you even see Z-Freak had the relocate already prepped in case Gunnar was actually under any threat, but I think Black and Yellow just canceled after they saw that mistake with Gunnar. Yeah.
Gunnar's jumped in, and now there's no one to really bail him out, so Gunnar is dead. Sonic Wave flies through. Envy's lost about half his HP as well, but there's going to be Z-Freak coming in, looking for the heal. Zero does go down, but he'll immediately buy back. But at this point, Black and Yellow are using a lot of their resources to try and get through this. They do burn through that Aegis, but they've got to get him a second time. But now with Z-Freak dead, Envy, he's completely by himself. He's just going to die a second time. That is the fight that Black and Yellow have been waiting on for so long. They finally get it. They finally get Gunnar just that little bit too far away while the relocate's on cooldown. It all comes together for them, and the result is a spectacular fight.
And that was a 5-man Sonic Wave. That was with Yamsun clicking absolutely everyone with that Burning Barrage. And that is what you need to be careful of. You are playing a ranged hero with Satanic versus a Scotty. Same with the IO. If you get hit by that debuff, you are not healing your allies for really all that much. And with the item build that Eternal Envy has gone for, you are not seeing him do nearly as much damage as another Spectre could have gone for. And if you had gone for that Blade Mail, maybe you're able to find some returns. You maybe force your opponents to play a little bit differently, but it goes back to the Ags where if finally Zero is able to get that call, you see that there's not much they can do about it. The damage finally comes through. They do that one or two more times, especially on a Gunner. They're really going to slow down this Lina and finally start to get some speed back under their wings.
Yeah, and Envy, the lack of the Blade Mail there, Yamsun was sitting on like 100 HP at the most for the last few seconds of that fight. Turned around to get the damage out of the Blade Mails there. He just straight up dies to it, but able to survive, able to get the kill, and Black and Yellow looking at a very different situation from the one they were in 3 or 4 minutes ago. That net worth has actually just about come back to even. So they were trailing quite a ways, but that is a big play for them. You see their two main cores in Yamsum and Esk maybe starting to move their way up this net worth chart. Still trailing behind Gunner, but it's Gunner Lina. You're probably going to be trailing behind her throughout the entirety of this game. Although, as I say that, the Clinks does actually leapfrog into that first place spot. So Yamsun is building himself up. He's prioritizing the BKB, though, as his next item. Looking for a little bit of that defensive power, just so that Four Zoomers can't sort of keep him out of the fight at the start.
Yeah, and that's where these smokes are starting to feel a little bit desperate from Four Zoomers. And if Black and Yellow can continue to play around this ward setup they've got here, this is Haunt.
Envy hasn't made the jump yet, though. Just sending out the illusions for now. There's going to be the jump in onto Jubei, looking to take the Bane down quick and easy as they do get that first pick up. And now Boris rolls his way forward, drops the Magnetized. Yamsun, though, is in some trouble on the backline. He needs a little bit of help here. Esk is trying to come in. There's going to be the Sonic Wave to push Gunner back, but I'm not really sure that's going to be enough. Boris will go down, but they get the Fiend's Grip onto Gunner. Zephy's going to try to relocate him out, but he doesn't get it off in time. So Gunner is dead, Envy is now in their sights, Jubei has bought back, Yamsun's back in as well, and Zero able to connect with the taunt. Good snowball though from Moo, that's creating so much space. Zero will fall, and Envy, he's actually still on the run. Boris though is trying to catch up to him, and Envy, can he actually make it out of here? He is trying to use that Shadow Step. He's actually going to give them the slip as he just jumps all the way to the east. But Boris, looking, tries the tree line, not going to catch him. Envy will now look for the TP away. They are going to be able to get him out. So the loss of Gunner is unfortunate for them, but it could have been really so much worse. Gunner is the only casualty there, whereas Black and Yellow, you take a look at them, they committed 3 buybacks in that fight. Ended up losing 0 on the back end of that as well.
Yeah, and while you do lose Gunner, you slow him down just a little bit more. I feel like it was a little bit gratuitous from Black and Yellow. I don't think they needed to necessarily force that much, but they just know that that's the only place they can win these fights in Yam. Oh, no.
Oh, they jumped in onto him. Boris, nice roll in, trying to, well, really just create a little bit of separation so Yamsun can get out and move with those shards. It will allow them to find the kill onto Boris, but it actually helps to sort of push the Clinks to safety. So they get a kill, but not the kill. Not the one that they were really hoping for. Yamsun, very fortunate that his teammate was there to back him up, because without Boris, I'm not going to say a guaranteed kill, but certainly a situation where that Clinks was not going to make his escape easily.
Now, Boris is just the homie there, gives his life, forces Yamsun over the shards, just did exactly what he needed to, and Husky was not able to keep the chain stun on both of them. If he did get the chain stun on both, then that would be a really terrible situation for Black and Yellow, but now at least Yamsun can try and finish off a few more of these items. It's still really difficult to fight into the skeleton archers. It's nothing that ever becomes very easy. We see Husky taking quite a bit of damage from them, but as soon as Eternal Envy is able to finish up some of these items, some of these good items, it's going to feel like this game is just as hard as it really should be for Black and Yellow. And I don't know if Black and Yellow can necessarily get strong enough to contend this second Roche. I think this might just be Four Zoomers getting it for free in a few minutes here, or in a few seconds here.
Yeah, only about 5 seconds away from the respawn. We'll need Four Zoomers to actually scout that out, obviously, but they're in the position to sort of control the Roche pit right now. There's really no one on the Black and Yellow side who can even get close, as Moo gonna run into Esk. He's just looking for the straight-up kill here. Esk, however, will pop the BKB. And that's going to allow him to TP away. Envy, Shadow stepped in there, but really not worth fully committing for. He has no means of canceling that TP, especially through the BKB. So they push Esk back, and now they will scout out Roshan. They're going to go straight in for this, and ET, as you said, black and yellow, oh, okay, they're going to try, but they're not going to get here in time. Yeah, Age is taken by Gunnar, and now they actually scanned that out as well, so they knew that their opponents were coming. Husky is going to try to roll his way forward, getting onto Jubei, and there's going to be the Haunt pushing into the fight. Jubei immediately taken down. Boris is now in some trouble as well, as the Snowball will stun him up, and Envy finds both of those kills, and really, it just feels like at the start of every fight, we keep saying the same thing. The Haunt comes in and Jubei dies. It's just Envy's target time and time again, knows that if he can get the Nightmare and the Fiend's Grip out of the fight immediately, then Black and Yellow sort of lose a lot of that follow-up control.
Yeah, and that's where you're seeing them go for the split push plays, even using the as much really wave clear as they can. They don't have a wave coming in mid, but they will have something coming in top. I don't think Gunnar really needs to be afraid at all, and with the full Daedalus, unless he's getting called by a Blade Mill Axe, there's nothing that's really going to take him down here. And Zero, even looking at it right now, he has enough gold if he really wanted to force it, but he probably wants to have a second life if worse comes to worse in a minute here. It just feels like right now Black and Yellow really lost the little bit of speed that they were able to get for him, and this Aegis just means that four Zoomers are going to be able to play the next 5 minutes with relative ease. Really, I don't think Gunnar can die twice without losing absolutely everything on the Black and Yellow side. I think four Zoomers just have too many tools at their disposal at this stage of the game.
Yeah, they would have to catch Gunnar amazingly out of position, which, to be fair, they did do that once. They caught out Gunnar with Z-Freak not nearby and Z-Freak not having to relocate, but those were some extenuating circumstances. I'm not really sure they're going to be able to replicate that kind of exact scenario in time to get through Gunnar twice. So, feels relatively safe for the Lina, but we're not really seeing four Zoomers pushing in directly. They're looking for more general control of the map, trying to push in all of those lanes, and really just pin Black and Yellow back inside of their own base if they can.
Yep, and it's something that's very easy for them to do when you have this Aghanim Scepter on Eternal Envy. It's very easy to just say, oh, I've got the Astral Step on whoever I'm going to blink onto. It leaves that dagger, so you have so much vision of the target. Esk is a little bit more slippery at this stage of the game, has finally maxed out that blink. Of course, finally, they're still looking for those jumps, and oh, poor Jubei.
And he's able to make it happen. Yamsun quickly realizing you can't be here anymore. Oof. TPs himself out before anybody else can show up, but yeah, that... I mean, Jubei, it's just not fair. He just doesn't really get to do much of anything, as the relocate actually is going to pull that IO back in, but the Snowball helping to keep him alive. Envy now pushes forward with the Haunt. They've taken down Esk. No buyback available on that Queen of Pain. There is one on Zero, though, so he's looking to rejoin the fight, but Yamsun is alone in this engagement, and they're not going to be able to get back in time to help him. That's going to be the Clinks taken down, and now Zero, it's too late.
No.
He blinked in, but that's just going to be him pretty much falling, and that, I mean, that might just be it. There's no buybacks.
Yeah, that is it. That's just a textbook from four Zoomers. They try to go on the jump with the relocate pullback, but Mu is just a little bit too quick with that snowball, and even the spider legs on Z-Freak able to get out of dodge before anything can actually really land. Unfortunately, you didn't see a lot of spells cast there in that last team fight, but I think four Zoomers drafted exactly what they wanted, and they played an interesting style. The Ags first on the Spectre is definitely something you're not going to see every single day, but definitely decided to buy it in a lineup that completely enables it. 3 of your 5 heroes are really good at setting up in those side lanes. Bots Lina on one side and Io Tusk on the other, so it's very simple for Envy to always get involved in a lot of these fights, as well as it just being an incredibly free Spectre game. There's not really anything that anyone can do on Black and Yellow, especially these ranged heroes. They just feel incredibly weak. Yamsun, for a portion of this game, felt like he could maybe fight versus the Spectre, but it just kind of barreled out of control after that one crazy fight top where they bought back on 4 heroes. Just lost way too much net worth at that point, and 4 Zoomers just very simply got to reset. Not like they lost any buildings during that time. There just wasn't enough pressure coming out from Black and Yellow.
Yeah, and 4 Zoomers, I mean, they get everything that they wanted, right? The offlane Tusk is more consistent this time, was able to maintain that impact longer and longer into the match compared to the last time we saw Mu on it. Envy had a free game. Gunnar, maybe a little bit of pressure intermittently, during that match, but 14-3. So it's not like they were really ever pinning him down all that frequently. So if you're 4-Zoomers and you're allowed to farm that well on your cores, be that active on your supports, and just have that kind of impact and take control of the map, Black and Yellow were going to be sort of playing on the back foot for the vast majority of that game. And as you said, ET, we saw some moments here and there. It looked like maybe the Klinks was sort of hitting his stride, getting a little bit of a power spike, but every time he experienced a power spike, 4-Zoomers had sort of a corresponding spike that kind of shut him down.
Yeah, and I think that's where Gunnar Lena, it's one of the most consistent strategies that 4-Zoomers have ever decided to run. They've first phased it, they've picked it last for him a couple times, but every single time he gets it in his hands, it just feels like he farms up. He farms every single camp. He has double the opponent's CS on the enemy mid laner, and then he gets his items, whether or not you like it, and then just does whatever he wants on this Lena.
Yeah, so 4-Zoomers able to stop that sort of skid with 2 straight losses as they do get this victory. With this win, though, they keep Black and Yellow winless. Black and Yellow 0-3 so far in this group stage. But one last shot here. We've got one more game on the schedule for today. Black and Yellow do still have a chance, but they're going to have to make some adjustments to try and pull off this 1-1 draw. So with that in mind, we are going to be moving into another sort of commercial break as we get ready for our final match of the day, Game 2 between 4-Zoomers and Black and Yellow, coming your way in just a few minutes.